thank you to everybody tuning in during the live, or if you're watching this after the live. I greatly appreciate you tuning into the daily midday market report. And I do this every day, Monday through Friday. Started it last week. And we're going to cover the market. So I call it the midday market report. Typically, it'll be somewhere between like 12:30 and 1:30, depending on what I have going on. And we're going to go from covering the latest in XRP very quickly or at the end, and Bitcoin because of the movements. And we'll talk about the trends, but we're going to go over the gold, the silver, the precious metals, and we're going to start from the top so we can get a trend of the market. And then if we have some active discussion, we can talk within ourselves. But if not, obviously I will just do this normally. And then hopefully some people will watch this when it gets released. That's my greatest hope, that everybody can get an actual market wrap that's non-biased, and then you can go from there with your trading day. Trading with J-Ride, welcome in. Jorge, OMG, Mitchell, good evening. I appreciate you tuning in. So as we can see right now, XRP is up 2.15% on the day, but until we can get to how we got there, we're going to have to start from the top. So if this is your first time watching the midday market report, we go through it all. Capo, welcome in, and I was feeling a little less than left out with the precious metals, so I had to find a way to get them back into the routine. So this is a good way, Monday through Friday, while the futures market is open and while the markets are all trading, that we can get an overall feel. Right now the Dow Jones is up 87.55. Not much to talk about there. We're still overinflated, but until they're ready to turn off the printing presses, how high can this go? We're in a very big rising channel right now. I wouldn't say massive, but it has been going up since mid-July. So getting on about 2 months here. We need to, I thought we had a nice target. Oh, this is the DXY. Whoops. This is still in a nice uptrending channel, but it's kind of broken down here as of recent. But it's still in the same kind of a rise. But it's slightly different. And the way we can look at this pattern in the short term, I said before I wasn't going to draw it in. But you know what? I can't resist. I can't resist. I want to have a little bit of basis here for the Dow, just for anybody who might not be able to draw it in themselves. True, welcome in. Hey, Tom and Army, blessings and much love to you all. Stay diligent. It may be hard for some, but you're in the right place. Remember that. I appreciate that greatly, True. And for anybody, while I'm drawing this out, a little update on what's going on in my personal situation. So my son had a genetics test a while ago, and it came back, one thing came back abnormal. So we're assuming it has to do with the developmental delay, but we'll see. So Julie and my mom is there right now. And then Julie's got her surgery on Wednesday, so it's going to be very interesting. This is her, what, 6th or 7th surgery now. So she's getting the hard route, and hopefully, it'll bring some relief. So Devin, welcome in. But anyhow, this uptrending support, and yes, like Jorge said, please hit that like button. It greatly would have helped me greatly. The uptrending support here, 34,300 area on the Dow. As long as we're in this little rising, I mean, it's a rising pattern, but at some point, if we don't break up and we break down, this could very well reverse. But like I've been saying, with what's going on with the government, do you really think they're going to go back to quantitative tightening? It would not surprise me if in somewhere in the near future, they open the printing presses up, maybe early 2024, after one more rate hike, because I think we're going to get 25 basis points. I don't see how we don't. Even though it contradicts everything they're doing with big banks and everything, I just don't see how we're going to have a rate cut yet. They're going to do it next year likely, but not right now. I think we're going to get a 25 basis points, and it's going to flip the market over. Infamous, welcome in. I appreciate you trying hard to get in here. I know your first account, for some reason, I can't see you comment, which is, you're not the only person that's happening to. But it's a shame. DXY is at 105.05, so we could see some interesting market movements here leading into what I think is going to be a rate hike this week. So at the US dollar currency index, if we just bring it down into a lower time frame, I think we're still playing off a technical target here. Yeah, we could bounce here, but the move off of here should get you to somewhere around 102.26. If we bring it on the ongoing, obviously if we say it's going to break from a support over here, it'll get you a little bit farther down, but it's all the same. We're probably going to bounce to the top of the channel again. But the moment we break this, these are bearish reversals when they break. So if it does break from the top, you can expect this over time to come all the way back down through. Good evening, Crypto Bob. The Focus. Welcome in. I agree with the 25 base points in Infamous. I greatly appreciate that. It's just a shame that you have to go through such lengths to try to watch. I know you're not the only one, but it's a shame that some have to do that. So the uptrending support that I'm watching for the DXY right now, which is why I took out all the other areas, is right around that 104 spot 90. So as long as we hold that, this looks like it's a standard operating procedure correction here. And it looks like we're going to continue on here, onward and upward. I mean, the Golden Cross is not, it's not completely finished. But if we do lose out on this, and let's just say we lose this area we talked about at 104 spot 90, your last chance to hold this support would be, you really don't want to break down. If you come back to the 20 and reject and hit this as a resistance, you know we're starting to correct. So we've had this happen many times. It's just, is the government ready to let the US dollar come down? I'm not sure they are with what's going on with the BRICS starting in January. Wow, 54 people here for the midday market report. I am so honored that so many people are going to watch this. Not even being about XRP, I'm so glad so many people are starting to find an interest in the whole market. Make sure you hit that like button, as I believe we can do better than 30 likes as you help push this through the analytics. And if you want more people to be able to see the truth, the facts, and keep the reason why you want to do the market and understand it every single day, not just crypto, because you can see what's setting up here. We can see is there a topping starting on the US dollar. If that's so, that could lead to the availability of another increase coming in crypto. As you know, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. The only thing that goes direct with DXY, if it's going down, generally precious metals will go up. Not because the metals are more expensive, because the US dollar is becoming less valuable. Vice versa, when your US dollar goes up, it's not that gold and silver is getting less expensive. It's just the dollar's overinflated. Remember, inflation is not how they want you to believe in the government, like it's the basket of goods deciding what inflation is and the pricing going up. It's the expansion and contraction of the money supply. Simple, make no bones about it. That is what inflation is. If you expand the money supply, things become more expensive because you've overinflated how much money you have in circulation. So now it costs more to buy the same thing because the money's worth less. We need them to contract the money supply, take money out of the ever-flowing amount of dollars that they will print, and your stuff becomes cheaper. That's it. They lie to you every single month. It has nothing to do with the cost of goods or the basket of goods, what inflation is. It's simply the expansion and contraction of the money supply. That is it. And that's why I want to do the midday market report, because I have a lot of knowledge, and it often gets tied up in crypto because I love to do crypto, but you have to understand all facets. All facets. Matt, welcome in. No problem, Jorge. Have to know everything to make an informed decision. Absolutely. No, the football game. So let's go over the football game. So I was going up a team that's been together for 4 seasons. This was my first game with my team. We got down to a very bad start. I had between 2 quarterbacks, and I had to go between both. The first quarterback, he threw 3 interceptions to start, including 2 pick sixes. We had 3 plays in a row that got 3 first downs. Then I had him on a wheel route, and he decided to go deep on a cover 2, and I told him, when there's a spy in the back, you can't go over the middle. He got intercepted 3 times. I made a quarterback change in the first half, and we got down 24-8. We were down 14-0, scored a touchdown in the end of the half, and then they scored to start, and we got down 24-8. I made my quarterback change in the first half. We ended up shutting them out the rest of the way, and we got it back to 24-20, got the ball back, and we only had 20 seconds left, and we couldn't go down the field. You know, we had to take 2 Hail Mary shots, and it wasn't for our favor. But it was one of the most, I was the happiest I've ever been as part of a loss as a coach, because it was our first game together. We showed tenacity, and I think we're going to be very well suited going forward. I know my defensive packages now. I know who's playing offense, who's playing defense. But that was a fun game. We showed heart. So I told them I was proud of them. It's not always the wins and losses. You want to win ultimately, but when you're a new team, you got to get some camaraderie going. And if you're going to fight, you're going to fight. I've been a part of a lot of 0-1 teams that end up winning championships. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be tough, though. Being a first season when everybody else has been together for multiple seasons. The guy we played last week, 4 seasons. So I was really happy. So we didn't win, but we did fight. And that's important. Very important to fight. The U.S., but I appreciate the question. Oil, the CFDs on crude oil. Oh, and Capo, thank you for the $9.99 donation. I certainly was not expecting that. I don't even think I brought up donations at all. I really appreciate you so much for that. And everybody who's part of Tom's Army and sends a super chat or a donation, however you find the way, you can always find it in my video description below. The focus, hoping for a rate hike and for gold and silver to take a dip this week. I'm planning a trip to local bullion dealer this Thursday. I think you're going to get your wish. I think we're going to get a 25 rate hike. I think we're going to get 25 basis point. Jan, well, I'm so glad to see you back. So glad. So let's go to oil. Crude oil. This is just considerably rising up. We're over $90 a barrel, $90.80. We play Cleveland tonight. I'm not feeling too confident. My boys look bad. Cleveland is right, and that's blasphemy for me to say. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. I mean, you're talking to somebody who lives in Michigan, so we have the Lions. So even when it looks like they're going to win, they don't win. And when they do win, it's scripted, like against Kansas City. I mean, everybody could tell that was a scripted game. Wide receivers dropping balls when they're wide open. I mean, let's call it for what it is. Travis Kelce going and banging Taylor Swift instead of being at the game. We all know what's going on. So the U.S. oil at $90.77 a barrel. As we talked about on the last one, we seem to be working on this cup and handle. We seem to be rounding the bottom. And right now, our first layer for this first layer cup, we got to get past about that $92.87 area. Once we break that and hold, which we're close now, is why I'm putting it, actually it's a little higher, it's like 93. Once, 93.73, okay, I'm glad I moved it up. Once we get past there and hold, we can start making it to the second layer. I know that's a jank little drawing, but I'm not going to confuse everybody. That's what we're working with then. If you break outside of that cup, you'll probably start coming back down. I don't make the rules. The 10 years up, well, it's down to 4.32, but it had a nice little move back up. And now over the last several days, it started coming back down to end the week. We're at 4.32%. So remember, if you have a government bond and you're letting them borrow your money, you're getting about 4.3%. If you let them keep it for 10 years, that's the 10-year yield. Well, the problem with that is we know inflation is well north, in my opinion, of about 15% if you're using real inflation, not the basket of goods. Like, instead of seeing the real housing prices, they legitimately use the basket of goods and they get to bring them out. But with the housing prices, instead of saying, oh, rent went up by this month, they don't do it like that. They ask, what do you think if you own and you're running? The owner equivalent rent. How much do you think it should be to run out your place? If it's $1,800, they might say, oh, well, I think fair would be $1,200. So they'll say $1,200 even though it's going for $1,800. So they call that the owner's equivalent rent. They use that in the CPI. Has no place for the CPI. So basically what they're doing is they're asking themselves, so let's see, what would make the investors happy? Oh, well, the rent's only gone up 2.6% this year, up to, $1,080. Although it's gone up 76% to $1,800, but they're not going to tell you that. They're going to do an owner's equivalent rent, and it's going to make the basket of goods, it's going to make it that much cheaper when it all gets added together between the food, the groceries, the energy, the housing, the transportation. It's all a joke. So just like we just seen with the DXY, government bonds are running the same rally. If the DXY continues to pump, the chances are they're pushing it into the government bonds. If it decides to dive, that means they're probably going to start the big other countries, which are already starting to pull out of our government bonds, which is the biggest problem that doesn't get talked about. If the countries that are part of BRICS pull out of our government bonds, especially China, we have a big problem, and they're already starting to. Once they do that, they're no longer holding our government notes, and that means our money's going to become worthless very quickly because we're not backed by the gold standard. The only thing we're backed by is the petro. That's it. The only reason we have any value with the US dollar is because we have the world reserve currency, which is on life support, when it comes to the petrodollar. That means anybody who's buying petro it gets converted from their own native currency into US dollar, which means whatever their ratio is, they're either jumping in the streets very happy, or like most, because we overinflate our economics, we overinflate the US dollar. Why would you want to overinflate the dollar when the whole world uses it for petrol? That's not a smart decision. Number one way for them to come off your currency is to overinflate it, because when you overinflate yours, your dollar is going to be overinflated, which means every other currency in relation to the dollar is going to be undervalued, which means they're going to have to give more of a transfer rate, which means even if their money should be worth more, if you have to convert it to petrol, and because of our overinflation and because our US dollar is overvalued, because it should be, let's be honest, in the 80s somewhere right now. Actually, Peter Schiff said a long time ago, and this was back when we're a couple trillion down now, we should be somewhere around 78. Now it's probably high 60s when you look at total inflation. So if we don't put in the bullish handle here, you would come down back here and try to steady support here. Somewhere around probably 3%. I don't see that happening anytime soon unless they start selling out of these government bonds. Imagine if this reinverts and all of a sudden the 10-year, you're only getting 3% to let the government hold it for 10 years. That is not good. That's not good. You want more of a yield. So people are not going to be interested in putting in the government bonds. Omar, welcome from Belgium. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. So now we've got through the basics, gold and silver, and we're running a little bit long here already because this isn't meant to be an hour. Trying to keep my voice for the nighttime because this doesn't affect my 7:47 live at night. Just might be less people on the live because this might be the information you truly want. The gold and silver ratio, can't go to that until we see what's going on with gold and silver. Gold, we're still looking at, we've broken out of the formation. We had an uptrending support we broke down out of, and we've created what looks like a descending triangle that's formed. Downtrending resistance, downtrending support. Although it looks like it's in a triangle fashion, but you can call it whatever you want. If we break out, the technical target is up to about 2029. This pattern doesn't suggest a breakout. We've had a bearish cross in the daily. We're underneath the uptrending support. This pattern suggests that the DXY is probably going to continue pumping, and this is going to have to take another leg down. However, you see how the dollar looks to be putting in what looks like a long leg doji, which could be indecisive in this daily candle, which means it could be topping out. If at any time we see it lose that 104.90 on that rising channel and get rejected there, that's a great sign that the gold might be pushing up here. So if it does, we have it cloned on a break up, and I don't mean in the lab. We have it cloned at two, not like the meat you're going to be eating from you. Okay, please, speaking of that, do not participate, please, if you're a part of my audience. When they tell you get a 1-cent hamburger from McDonald's and Wendy's, just don't, please. If you have any respect, don't buy that. If you have any respect for yourself, just ask yourself, why would they give you it for a penny? Please, this is how you're going to get that cloned meat. Do you really want to be the test subject there? I mean, it's already there, but I don't eat fast food, so I guess you can do whatever you want. But last time I ate fast food was at McDonald's when I was probably 19, 20 years old. I bit into a crispy chicken sandwich, and you see these videos of the big black pieces of fat and whatever that disgusting stuff is in the meat. I bit into it when I was younger, and then my bite came up just shy of biting into that. And I was so grossed out, I threw it onto the counter, and I made such a scene. I wish social media was available. And I never went back to, oh. So anyhow, continuing, CFDs on gold. If it goes up to 2029 on a breakout, that's great, but this pattern suggests we're probably breaking down. That's not a guaranteed. It's just formation. You broke the uptrend. You're down below. You're trying to reject on it now. You formed a descending pattern. And if you break down now, your technical target would be 1792. But you don't need to break all the way down. You could simply fall in here, come down to an apex point at 1860, and then break back up here to 2000 and get rejected. You could do that as well. Exactly. Why buy money? Why spend your money on fast food when you can just invest in crypto? Why buy one burger today when you can buy the old burger joint tomorrow? I like that philosophy, Jorge. I like that All right. Uh, so that's gold. And now silver. Silver is trying to hang on. We have silver, unlike gold, how we had the breakdown. We're having a breakout attempt still with silver. How we're on the bottom side trying to confirm a breakdown on gold. We're on the top side of here. And this is the complete basic opposite of what we're seeing. We're in more of a, we're converging here. But the uptrend is converging with the downtrend. We have higher highs and lower lows, which means there's a breakout attempt coming. Which way is it? The fact if we remain on the top side, this would suggest more likely a breakout attempt for silver, which is weird. It's showing the, so if you're watching this and you understand what's happening between these two charts, isn't it ironic that silver, as of right now, is showing that it still has a chance at a breakout, as to where gold is leaning more on a breakdown. Not saying that's what's going to happen. So if we clone this and watch this, this is a very big difference. I always suggest you clone your charts. What I mean is you, oh, I made this too big. What am I doing? I never do that. We like to keep the micro syndrome in here just so that we don't overestimate and over-exaggerate the distance we're about to move. And I understand that that could be taken in a weird way with the micro you-know-what syndrome. So if you break up, you technically could come up to 28.34. That seems better than me. Now, if you break down, that's right. See, now you're looking at that $18.07. It lines up so perfectly. So what are we doing here? Are we really breaking out here? Is this really a breakout attempt? Is this really showing us that the US dollar could be topping out and gold just had to have a big correction to now break up? Because gold, remember, unlike silver, was on a big rising or a falling channel here, and it finally broke back out. It was on a falling channel for some time, and now we finally broke back up, and we talked about how you would have to break back over 2100. We failed. So we're going to see exactly what is happening here. So I would love to hear what everybody thinks about that. So that's silver. And then if you break down, your first support level here is down at about 2146. So, and then if you break that, obviously you're coming down to about 18 bucks. What's the scoop, Defo? You are going to have to start from the beginning to get the scoop, because I went through so much, I couldn't even give you the scoop. The scoop is DXY could be topping out here. We have a long leg doji, but we're still within the rising channel. Until you lose 104.90 and reject on it, you're still okay. Gold looks like it's in a descending triangle, but it's got two options here. And it's all based on the DXY. Silver, same thing. And unlike gold, where it looks like it's breaking down, silver is still on the outside. So, but we have to see, this could just be a fake out, just massive volatility. Although it still looks like it's on a bull flag. You know, so that's what we're looking at. But I would highly encourage you, if you're just tuning in, to watch this from the beginning. We're almost done here, folks, I promise. 49 people here, 49 likes. I appreciate that. That's 100% conversion. I know this isn't the sexiest, but to me, this is the most pertinent information you can get. With gold and silver, the gold-silver ratio very well could be hinting at a breakout attempt here. That's what we talked about last time. We're still going to have to get a correction here. We're still going to have to hold support at about 82.5. 82.5 on the gold-silver ratio, roughly. Somewhere in there. So if you see a hold here, that is a golden cross. That is practically done. We almost have a golden cross here. So if this does play truthfully, you're coming up here to the gold-silver ratio. You could get better than 90-1 on the ratio. So, excellent, true. I agree with that. I agree with that. Because it definitely could be setting itself up to look like a fake out down. I always look at gold and silver in relation and the gold-silver ratio. It's suggesting for some reason, that gold-silver ratio, if it goes up, that suggests gold's going to start pushing up faster than silver. That's the ironic thing. So is there a correction in silver coming? But we have a correction coming first in the gold-silver chart, it shows. Not by much, but the 82.5 handle, the 82 might be on deck. And then I just want to go over real quick B2 gold again. B2 gold, we bought at $2.99 our first buy. If you bought with me, And what we're looking for, I put $2,000 in it, about $2,050. It's up, I don't know, 7-8% right now. But every 20% down, approximately my goal, if I can do it, is to put roughly $500 to $1,000. My goal is to get anywhere to $6,000 to $10,000 in B2 Gold. It pays a 5% dividend. I told you on Friday it's a little overvalued because the price, or the PE ratio, price over earnings, was up a little inflated. I like it better when I'm buying right around 7 or 8, which is where I bought it. Right now it's up at about 13.8 price over earnings. That's not, the experts say anything under 26 is fine, and they only say that because Tesla and Apple like to hide out there, Google or Alphabet. They all like to hide out there because they're way over elevated. As to where in the video was like 450 times earnings. So I told everybody don't buy it, and now it's had a sudden correction. Who could have pictured that? But if you're looking to buy B2 Gold, you obviously can buy it wherever you want, but you're looking for that PE ratio to be hugging that 7 to 8 area. If it's at 9, it is what it is. But 13.8 in my history with B2 Gold, that's overinflated, and they don't like to be that high on price over earnings. That's overinflated. And now what it's going to do is they had to raise their dividend as it was coming down. Now they had an overstated run up, and they lowered it to about 5% from 5.48 to make up for the price over earnings, in my opinion. So that's telling me it's going to come back down. B2 Gold should be retesting 314, but this is a massive bear flag in the making. So my hopes in this M-topping reversal, 299 was the starting point, because I got in last year and I sold out over 4 something. It was back here when I did sell out. Maybe it was closer to 5. And then I didn't buy back in until the rally down, bought back in down here and sold out up here. I didn't sell out here where the X is at. I sold out over here to buy back in. First I wanted 292. But I took 299 because I told the audience I'm not gonna throw a fit over 7 cents. I'll just simply have my 20% from 299, and then I'll start collecting the dividend earlier. So that's what I'm doing. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't sugarcoat things, and I don't hide anything. And I have this whole pattern that if I show you it farther, why it has to be like this. B2 Gold has this uptrend starting in 2016, folks. So let's imagine if it breaks an uptrend that's been going on for 7 years, don't you think we'd get a better opportunity to start correcting? However, the fact that this 7-year uptrend is held is why you have to be very optimistic and cautious when you're buying into these things. You have to pay attention to the 5% dividend you're receiving. So would you rather have a 4.8% or 4.3% dividend being paid through a 10-year government bond where you have to let them hold it for 10 years? Or would you rather put it in B2 Gold where you get a 5% dividend if you understand what you're doing and you start pushing into it as it's correcting? This is not one that's going anywhere. This is a big time company. This is not a junior mining stock. And the fact that they pay a dividend tells you they're not going anywhere. So think about that. Would you put it into a government bond? That's why people ask me, why don't you put your money into government bonds? I do in my own way. So this is the start of a $6,000 to $10,000 bond through B2 Gold. I've got over $2,000 in it right now, earning just over 5% today. It's been anywhere between 4.9 and 5.4, depending on price. The lower it goes, the higher the rate. So that's a decision you have to make for yourself. This is how I navigate the market. This is why I do things the way I do, and this is how I live off of my trading. You might not understand it, but when you get to $6,000, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 and you're getting that interest rate, you're compounding your shares. I don't get it in money. I have them giving me more shares. So they just keep adding more shares every time. So now maybe it came down to $2.90, and those shares that I got for free, now they're worth $4 or $5. What if you get 50, 100, 500, 1,000 as you start accumulating this? This is what people do for decades. This is just the start. People do this for decades into retirement. Hi all, could silver be more valuable? Ah, crap. Someone's going to have to talk so I can read the rest of it. So that's what I'm looking at with this, with the uptrending support with B2 Gold. Obviously, if it breaks down, we've got lower ambitions, but right now, I wouldn't be looking at that. This has held this uptrend from 2016 for a reason. So this is what we're trying to break out of here. That's your uptrending support, downtrending resistance. I told you I would fill it in as the days go on. And as more and more people are viewing that, I feel I need to give a more descriptive answer. So basically, that's it as far as it goes for commodities. I'm not going to get into Fortuna Silver Mine because it's much too volatile and it doesn't pay a dividend. So I'd much rather you put your money into something that pays a dividend, because the fact they don't pay a dividend still makes me uncomfortable. Could silver be more valuable than gold? Absolutely. It very well could be. But you got to remember, there's a reason why they have the pricing like that. So it's kind of like when you go on a monetary system, yes, gold and silver have different world uses. There's a lot of uses for silver that gold it's not used for. But just as a store of value and a way of currency, if you use it as a currency for countries, even though it's money, each individual country would then have to adopt the gold standard, and now it can be used worldly instead of just, being replaced for their currency. So with that being said, I think the monetary value is going to stay higher in gold. I believe that personally. Even if there's more use case, I don't think they'll ever flip the two. I just don't think it's going to happen. What I do think is that gap is going to close. Typically, in historical times, you should have never been over 10 to 1. You should never be over a 10 to 1 ratio. So just think about that. That means silver should be about $200. Wait a minute, we're about $193 a share rate, $193 an ounce right now. Silver should be, if you use the 10 to 1 logic. If you use the 50 to 1 logic, I still don't even think that's close. Some people say it should never be over 10 to 1. A lot of the experts. But then you'll get the ones who say, well, 20 to 1 is more realistic. Fine, I'll give you that, but that should still be $85 a share, roughly, or $90 a share, or not a share, an ounce. So that's where I think the gap's going to close in the future. I don't think they're going to be able to keep it like this. If the Saudis and the BRICS nations are all going back to a gold-backed standard, it's going to be very hard to devalue the true value. Like JP Morgan won't have the stronghold on silver anymore if this happens, with the pricing of silver. A lot of things are going to change hands. I believe that's why Basel 4 and 5 are implemented. And then obviously 5 will be implemented, fully they'll be implemented later. But I think that's why we went into Basel 4 and 5 out of Basel 3. I really do. So the total crypto market cap at 1.045, we got to get through this now. Very quickly, we got through what I wanted to talk about. We'll touch XRP real quickly hereafter. Total crypto market cap had a little bit of a breakout. We're going to get rid of all of this. All of this, now I told you, we're going to get rid of all this on the next live because we don't need these anymore. And why is that? Because we drew the formation out together. So right now, we have this resistance over the top. But right now, we're trying to hold the breakout at about 950 billion. If we hold that, we have higher ambitions. However, if this breaks down, this is a bear flag in the making, and this uptrending support comes all the way down. There's a few areas in between, but if you come back down to the true uptrend, I don't think we're coming to 250 billion, but you always have to pay attention to it, folks. Just pay attention to it. But there's so many layers in between. I don't think we're going to get there, but just imagine we did. If we break down out of here, you've really got that area at 652 billion, and it's even more corroborated like that. So then we come to Bitcoin, and I'm going to end it with XRP real quickly. I did not want this to take over a half an hour. That's not the point, but it is what it is. So we look at this on the 4-hourly with Bitcoin. This is a correction candle. So this is a long leg doji. This is showing signs of weakness. However, we have this golden cross that is, I believe that's come through now, hasn't it? It's recrossed here. Yeah, we have the golden cross. So this is a nice hold of support here. Remember we talked on Friday on Midday Market Report. And if you were in the live on Sunday at 12:45 a.m., we talked about how I would not be surprised if Bitcoin came back to 27,700. And then we'd have to see what happened from there. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So now we see, can we hold the 20-day? Is this just a nice correction and then we start continuing up? If so, you have the top end up here somewhere around 29,000. Do you think crypto can go all the way up there? With the rate hike, what I think is 25 basis points, we're going to have to see if we're coming for some topside liquidity. My greatest fear here is we're coming for topside liquidity to drop the hammer. To drop the hammer. And then with XRP. XRP remains within this bull flag, bear flag disguise. It is ultimately in a bull flag in my opinion. And you kind of have an inverted head and shoulders pattern that is very quickly formed that should push us to the top side, as we've been talking about. I keep talking about that 7.7% move approximately before a big correction, unless we can break out. This speaks to the 7.7% correction. Like this is in an inverted head and shoulders pattern, and to finish this, you'd have to come for a rejection at either that 53.3 level or that 54.8, 54.5 cent roughly. And then if you break on top of it, then you might be able to break all the way up, because you are correct. You are correct if you're seeing this. XRP very well could be in the midst of a nice cup and handle here. So, but we have to do our due diligence, and we have to pay attention to this. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. If you got anything out of this, please make sure to hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the Army, as it will greatly help push this content, as I do know paid promotions, advertisements, or sponsorships of any kind. And makes it a free viewing experience so that you don't have to pay for any of my content. If you want to find your favorite crypto exchanges and trade like I do, even futures trade if you would like, Max, see if you can do it if you're not in the USA, or if you're already a user, I love it. But if you're in the USA, I have my alternative is FEMX for futures trading, and or if you want lower spot maker fees than Uphold, then you can send it to your wallet and or Uphold, wherever you decide to do it, or the ledger. But other than that, this is everything I wanted to cover. Make sure you hit that like button. Consider sharing this, as it will help push us through the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you like the work. And remember to come back during the midday market report between 12:30 and 1:30 every single day, Eastern Standard Time. Maybe go long on XRP and Shiba. It's possible. I love all you guys. I really do. I appreciate each and every one of you. Shiba's getting in its own trend as well. Shiba's had a nice correction. Whoops. Nice correction. So that's the longer term pattern for Shiba. But like I always tell you guys, fill it in. Fill in the formations. That's why watching this every single day, not having to pay, not having to even worry if you get anything out of this, you start to understand how to trade the market. You understand how to do this. You don't need to be tricked by somebody else that's trying to make $1. Why not learn for free? This is all you're doing to evolve the pattern. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. That's how you evolve the pattern. So now you know the overall pattern. Why would you be afraid of the shorter term pattern? If you break out of this, you know your breakout is going to come back and retest up here likely at around the 10349. But it could come over to the 1, a bunch of zeros and 1. And if you break down out of here, you're retesting down here at the 3989 level. Big drop or rise, either way. It's on a bear flag right now, so you must pay attention to which way this breaks. So that's how you figure this out, folks. I hope I've enlightened everybody a little bit. I hope I brought you some knowledge. From the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you. Don't forget to thank your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Keep your prayers and your faith as a major part of what you do, because it will help keep your emotions in check. If some of you wonder why time to time my emotions go up and down, I had a close head injury years and years ago at work. I was transporting a truck, and it wasn't my fault, but still. It was about a 70 mile an hour accident on the freeway. Car rolled over, not mine, but I hit the back of a stopped car after the ones were rolling over, because I had nowhere to go because there was a median. And I don't produce serotonin like normal people, so I do it at about 20% the rate. So, that's why I do things. So consistency breeds response. Response breeds, let's just say, the energy. When you can breed the response, the energy flows. But it starts with consistency. I come here every day with consistency. We do things consistently with how we do our portfolios, with how we do it when it comes to, building our reserves with our gold and silver and being our own central bank, how we buy into our ISO and IoT tokens, but we do it consistently. Consistency breeds response. And what I mean by that, when you're consistent, you have a response. You want, in your head, you receive this signal, and you want to respond because you're seeing how you grow each and every day. I've been back to the gym 3 days. This is my 3rd week back, and already I can see all this definition came back. I needed 20 workout sessions to get back to where I was at. I've had 11. So just seeing the changes already, I can see my face is getting thinner again. I can see my arms are pushing out my neck. It's the consistency breeds response. That's the point. When you're consistent, you breathe the response, and that allows you to have the energy to continue moving forward. And then with the consistency, you start seeing results. The results will help you continue to respond when you feel it. Let me send you some testosterone C. I don't use anything like that at all. I let my body do its natural thing. So, you know, I would obviously study it. I'm very into nutrition and stuff, and I like to read the labels and stuff. So, I mean, you can absolutely send me something that's up my alley, but I would have to see some good reasoning why I'd be taking that, because now you're on a supplement, and now that response you're trying to get from your body, you're starting to get from a supplement. You want your body to naturally produce this stuff. And yeah, some have low T levels, but a lot of people on testosterone is them coming off of steroids. So they do a nice hormonal therapy. So now with Sheba, just pay attention to this. So yeah, that's everything, guys and gals. I appreciate everybody who stayed longer here. Appreciate that. And again, I'll be back tonight at 7:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay positive. We're positive over negative. We stay emotionless, or we try to at least. But remember, we don't play the victim, we play the winner. And the reason I say that is we're trying to uplift people, not bring them down. You need the light to extinguish the dark. You need the dark so that you can understand what the light is and who is in the light and who is in the dark. And you need positivity to understand negativity, and you need to see negative people so you understand the value of being positive. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. Have a blessed day.